Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 8 of Maker's Mic, a music makers podcast presented by LR Bags. This past weekend, my wife and I took the kids up to visit my parents in Lexington, Kentucky, the city where I was born and raised. Now, I don't want to sound like an old man, but a lot's changed in Lexington since I moved to Nashville almost 20 years ago. The neighborhood I grew up in used to be surrounded by farmland and stockyards and tobacco warehouses, and now it's just more neighborhoods and fast food chains. Another area of the city that's been developed lately is what's come to be known as the Lexington Distillery District. And this is where you'll find one of Lexington's newest music venues, the Burl. I met up with our guest this episode, Tyler Childers, on the final night of his sold-out 3-night run at the Burl. I had met Tyler and his band a few weeks earlier when they stopped by our Nashville office to film an Americana video session. But now we're in Kentucky, and Tyler is about to play in front of an enthusiastic hometown crowd. All right, we're at the Burl in Lexington, Kentucky, about 2 or 3 miles from where I grew up.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I grew up right down the road in Metathorpe.
Oh, no way.
Where Pop's resale
over
is.
there by Pop's? We were there yesterday before the
yeah, that's what I heard.
before the show.
How was that?
It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the second in-store there I got to do.
Uh-huh.
And, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, good dudes over there.
Oh, the best.
Yeah. Yeah, they're actually buddies of mine from high school. I went to Dunbar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Tony Manuel and
Tyler?
Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler Palmquist.
Uh-huh, yeah. Mr. Hip Hop. Yeah, man.
Good people.
So we talked about this briefly when you came in during Americana Fest to our office in Nashville. But I wanted to start off by talking about the insane amount of large-scale crime that's happened in central and eastern Kentucky in the past 40 years or so, just because I don't think people outside of Kentucky know too much about it. And, you know, I don't want to paint a bad picture of Kentucky. It's the most beautiful place and the friendliest people you'll ever meet. But there's just some true crime stories that are pretty mind-blowing.
Oh, yeah.
Let's start with the most recent, Eric Conn.
Eric C. Conn.
Yeah.
Was it $550 million? He, in, I guess what was the, fraudulent Social Security cases?
Like a defense attorney or something?
He was a Social Security, defense attorney.
Yeah.
I don't really know my lawyer terms, but that sounds
sounds
fancy enough.
I watched some Law and Order. I think that's right.
Yeah. No, man, yeah. He's, $550 million, and then they let him out on bond, and then are really surprised when he doesn't show up.
Yeah,
for his
and he
case.
had some judges digging in his pockets, didn't he?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He had a couple judges that if they passed through his clients, they got a little cut.
Yep.
So. Yeah, I think he had a psychiatrist he was conspiring with or something too, and he was quite an enterprise.
And he's on the run right now.
He's
on the lam.
Yep, he's not it's not been too long. It's been a couple months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Curious to see how far he goes.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, fake passports and.
Yeah. Well, Johnny Boone made it 8 years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another guy I want to talk about.
He's known as the ringleader, I guess. They consider him in the news media as the ringleader of the cornbread mafia, the Marion County area over that way.
That's where my parents are from.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lebanon.
Lebanon, yeah.
Yeah,
man. He was one of the largest drug busts in U.S. history.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s. Like 45 tons.
The biggest marijuana producing and
I don't know how you'd say it, but the biggest organization of marijuana activity in U.S. history, I think.
I believe so. Yeah, 45 tons is a lot to be caught with.
Yeah. And the other thing that was crazy about that story is that he was a really friendly guy in the community.
Oh, yeah.
And people loved him because he was always willing to help out, I think, from what I read about him, you know.
I went to he had all that trouble back in the 80s and then went to jail for like 15 years and got out and got caught again with over 2,000 seedlings. And he was looking at, like, that was his, 3 strikes you're out kind of deal. And it was his third go. And he was looking at, like, life without parole over marijuana. And so I guess he decided he'd take his chances on the run.
Yeah.
And he got caught after 8 years, and they had a benefit, to raise money for his legal fees and his court cases. And so I went to Lebanon with some buddies that were raised over that way.
Yeah.
And everybody had nothing but nice things to say about him. You know, just a good old boy, straight up dude that liked to grow this one plant that kind of frowned upon.
Yeah. And then Andrew Thornton and the Bluegrass Conspiracy.
Yeah.
That's a crazy story.
Yep.
He so he was from Lexington, right? I believe so. I think he grew up here and went to Sayre, which was right across the street from the Catholic school that I went to, St. Paul. And it's kind of a private school and a privileged kid school. And then I guess he just got into fell in with the wrong folks. But he was a narcotics cop and then went to law school. And while he went to law school, started smuggling.
Man, you gotta get through college one way or another,
Yeah, it's expensive, right?
Yeah.
But when the feds started closing in on him, he was flying his plane from Columbia back to Kentucky, and I think he knew he was going to get caught when he landed, so he dumped a bunch of cocaine out of his plane in the mountains of northern Georgia, and then he jumped out of his plane, and his parachute didn't open, and he smacked down in someone's yard in Knoxville.
Well, when you have more cocaine strapped to your body than you do weight on your body.
Yeah.
Your parachute.
I think he had some
pressure on a parachute.
I think he had some like gold bricks on him too, and
yeah, he did have a bunch of money. Yeah, a bunch of pistols. He was wired for sound.
Yeah. And then the crazier part about this story is that a couple of weeks later, I think, like the Georgia Wildlife Management found a black bear in the woods that had overdosed on cocaine. And apparently his belly was like packed full of coke. And the coroner that did the autopsy had a friend. I read about this. And I read the Bluegrass Conspiracy. I love that story. And it needs to be made into a movie. Don't you think?
I'd watch it.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I've been meaning to get around to reading that one, man. I still haven't. It's been sitting on the shelf.
Yeah.
Waiting to be read.
It's good.
I've got Joe Keith Bickett's accounts of the Cornbread Mafia days, and then Jim Higdon has his Cornbread Mafia book too. Which I got through that one. That one's a really cool read.
Yeah, I need to get to that one.
Yeah, that was fun. But who wrote the Bluegrass Conspiracy? She was from around here.
I think her last name's Dalton. Yeah, she was a journalist for the Herald Leader, the Lexington paper.
So she was deep in the thick of it.
Yeah. But Cocaine Bear, they found him, they stuffed him. He went to Georgia State Park, like a visitor center on display. And then there were fires in the area, and they put him in storage, and then I guess their storage space got broken into, and he was stolen. And then I think Waylon Jennings bought him. That's the story I've heard.
Yeah, I heard that. And it ended up in a pawn shop after that?
It ended up in Las Vegas.
Okay.
I think. And then there's some shop here in town now that tracked him down.
Kentucky for Kentucky.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've been over there. I have a picture of Cocaine Bear.
Oh, man.
That's their mascot. I'm definitely going to put links about all of these stories.
Sally Denton.
Yeah.
Just Googled it over here. I didn't know that in the back
Dalton.
of
I was close.
Hey, man.
Denton.
It was pretty dang close.
Yeah, I tried. Tell me, what was growing up like for you? I know that's a pretty broad question.
Yeah. I woke up every day, and then I'd go and do what I was supposed to do that day, and then go to sleep. No, I grew up in Lawrence County, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, for most of the time I was under his roof, worked for Miller Brothers Coal Company, and my mom was a nurse at Johnson County Health Department, and I was blessed with a really tight-knit, close, loving family.
Yeah.
And spent a lot of time on Sundays and Wednesdays and tagging along with mom and dad and my papa and my grandparents to church, and played baseball in the summer. Did a lot of hunting with my dad, and yeah.
Musical family?
Yes. A lot of singers.
Yeah.
Family. Yeah.
Like in church and
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, you won't hear him sing because he won't sing in front of anybody, but he's a really good singer. We used to hunt. We used to coon hunt in my papa's old Chevrolet, and it didn't have a radio or tape player or anything. So a lot of times on our way back home, Dad would just end up like singing, and so those memories, as well as growing up singing in church. And I had a uncle who played guitar. He was a pastor back home. He was a pastor at Spencer Free Will Baptist for a long time. He played guitar in church and showed me a couple chords, along with my papa's army buddy would come in on the summers, or we'd go to Tennessee and hang out with him. And he showed me some chords. And
about how old were you then?
I learned my first chords around, I was about 5 or 6.
Okay.
G, C, and D.
That's pretty young.
Yeah. Chico's been playing since he was 4. So, it's a good time to start learning, I guess, or get acquainted with it.
Yeah. And then what from did you have a high school band, or did you play with your family or your...
I was in a couple bands in high school. It was like, we'd play Apple Day in Paintsville.
Uh-huh.
We'd play
it's like Ham Days down in Lebanon.
Yeah. And so we'd play that, and then maybe one other gig, and then break up until next year, when most of us would get back together under a new name. Because
did y'all play cover songs? And
at that time, I was writing songs.
Were you writing material?
Yeah. So we had a pretty even mix of covers and badly written songs,
Yeah.
Just 14, 15-year-old writing songs.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Figuring it out.
Yeah. What like, were y'all playing like country music, bluegrass? What was it in that realm, or were y'all like
country music
shredding on some metal or something?
No. It was mostly country and southern rock.
Okay.
We did Our Simple Man and
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Freebird once at Apple Day. I remember that.
That's too many times. Yeah, I don't know. You just never know. You'd be surprised. I talked to some folks, and they're like, I was in a metal band. I don't know. What kind of music did you listen to when you were growing up, or what influenced you?
I had, um, a couple of my own cassette tapes that I carried around. I had like 2 Ricky Skaggs and a Jerry Clower tape.
Yeah.
And then at some point down the line, I got in a closet and found all my dad's old cassettes that he'd put up and forgot about. And so it's a huge Alabama. I mean, he saw Alabama. It's untelling how many times. And he had a bunch of Skinner, a bunch of CCR,
Yeah.
all the Nuggets. So
Yeah.
a lot of that. And Larry Cordell,
Yeah.
another Lawrence County hometown hero. Recently got back on a big Larry Cordell kick. I was talking with somebody a while back about people from back home that I listened to, and I was like, I haven't listened to Larry Cordell in a minute, and just like, man, like falling in love with it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus and Bartenders and some great ones.
Jerry Clower kind of explained some of your lyrics, I think.
That's my biggest influence. It's probably Jerry Clower.
Ian told me that back in Nashville that you kind of live off the grid right now. Is that?
I mean, you could say that, but I'm gone so much that it'd really be
It'd be a
an
waste
embellishment to say that I was living off the grid, because 90% of the time I'm on the road playing in bars and taking baths in other people's houses while I sit in their air-conditioned living room,
Yeah.
But my wife's toughing it out.
Yeah?
Yeah, she's a badass.
Describe your property. What's it?
Just grass, and it goes into trees. And
In Lawrence County?
No, it's Estill County area.
Okay. That's west, obviously.
Yes, it's I mean, it's from here in Lexington. It's about an hour southeast.
Okay. All right.
So it's over there by the gorge.
Yeah. Okay.
It's borders Lee County.
About
area.
halfway between here and Ashland, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Roughly.
If you wanted to go that way to get there.
Yeah, we don't have to figure it out. Well, where'd you go to high school?
Well, I graduated from Paintsville High School.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I grew up in Lawrence County, and kindergarten through freshman year, I went to Louisa School Systems, elementary, middle school.
Yeah.
And then I went that freshman year to Lawrence County High School, and then my parents decided it was a good move for the family, for me and my sister, to move schools from Lawrence County to Paintsville. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful that life happened that way, because I think that, I mean, heck, I was 15 getting ready to turn 16, and, I was getting ready to be in those years where this group of friends that I'd had my whole life, we were getting ready to be like be able to drive around and get into mischief together and stuff.
Yeah.
But like at this important time in your adolescence, I had to like uproot and go to another school, and that was important, I think, for like learning how to adapt and meeting new people. And it was like a first experience having to do what eventually we have to do all the time, go to a new place, play a bunch of shows to a bunch of people we don't know, and
Interact.
And yeah.
Yeah.
So it was looking back on it, it was good that happened.
Yeah.
I met a lot of really good buddies in Paintsville. I actually hung out with last night, but it turned me on to a lot of really cool music that was a really big part of my life ever since then.
Yeah.
It has been a big part of my life. Drive-by truckers and Lucero and Chris Knight and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I just we had open lunch at Paintsville, which they quit because I guess they decided it was a terrible idea. But you had six class periods, and then that other class period was just an hour-long lunch.
Right.
Where you could go, you could go home if you wanted to. So spent a lot of time during the middle of the day, smoking pot and listening to drive-by truckers before we went back from lunch.
Yeah.
I don't know. They quit doing it. Something about like an insurance liability. A bunch of heathens running around for an hour during the day.
I started realizing kids were up to no good. So you said you're on the road about probably 90% of your time?
Well, that's probably an embellishment too. But it's just a...
Still, it's an adjustment, right? I mean,
it is. Maybe like, I don't know. Hey, Rod. If you had to put a percentage on how long we've been on the road as opposed to how long we've been home this year, like what do you think is a fair estimate of a percentage for this year? Yeah. Oh, he's got his calculator over there. You would say what? 65, 70. That got me through high school, though.
Yeah.
So, hey.
Damn.
It's like those are terrible grades.
No, dude, that's what got me through high school. Tell me a little bit about Purgatory, the album.
Okay. I was gonna say, oh man,
we don't got to get all spiritual.
Thanks. Purgatory's a selection of 10 songs that I've written since between the last time I released an album to now, been trying to come out with an album for a while now, and recorded twice, and there was just always something missing, just didn't sound like everything I knew that it could, that me and the songs and my band as well had the capabilities of going out and performing on. And but then we did Purgatory. Lucked into running into Sturgill, who got me hooked up with David Ferguson, and they co-produced this album that
was pretty nice, huh? To have David
yeah, man,
behind the faders and knobs. He's not bad.
Mad scientist. Yeah, he's
got a pretty good track record.
Oh yeah, Johnny Cash, U2.
Cash. Yeah, U2. Yeah,
man.
All
kinds of stuff.
Yeah, Charlie Pride, Dale McCoury, John Prine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's good. And you met Sturgill through Miles, right? How'd you know Miles?
Met him at a gig in Nashville.
Okay.
At the basement. He was there. He was friends with...
And this was like recently? Or
yeah, I guess it'd be like...
2 or 3 years ago, maybe?
Year and a half ago.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time...
Did you know who he was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked up about halfway through the set, and like, man, that guy looks familiar. And I was like, oh, shit, it's Miles Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And then for a second there, it was like a little, it's intimidating. Sitting there playing an acoustic set in front of
solo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In front of, a musician of that caliber. And I was like, well, I mean, I haven't let the fact that he's been here, this first half of the set bother me. It's like, so let's not worry about it this last half.
Yeah.
And got through the set, and he came up and we started yakking, and yeah, Miles is a good dude. I'm glad that I can call him a buddy.
Yeah. Lucky
to have met him.
Did y'all start talking about the Wildcats? Are you a Wildcats fan, or?
I mean, by my raising, yeah.
Yeah.
I
didn't know. Some people in the state are Louisville.
They are. There's those people too.
Yeah.
I've always said, honestly, when it comes to sports, I'm rooting for whoever's buying the beer.
Okay.
And the pizza. But I like to watch it. I never was that athletic, and
so it just wasn't a big deal.
It just really wasn't a big deal in my world. My personal world. In my raising, it was a huge deal. You can talk to my dad. You ought to get up with my dad if you want to talk sports. He's got, you can ask him how he feels about these players at this time, or how he feels about Tubby Smith, and he's got 40-page dissertation that he'll sit down and talk to you.
Believe me, I have plenty of friends that I can get those facts from.
And like living here in Lexington, that was my favorite time. It's like the energy and the vibe that just falls over Lexington in times of sporting events is a beautiful thing to be here and be part of.
I can't. Whenever we won the championship a long time ago, back in like late 90s or mid 90s, I think 98.
I don't know off the top of my head.
I think it was 98.
It's kind of shameful.
Man, I went down that night. I went down on campus, and the energy is just, it's crazy.
You went downtown in 98 for that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's probably, I was in bed by then.
Yeah.
Probably.
Wasn't like, what, 10?
Yeah.
When you went into the studio to record Purgatory, Sturgill and David kind of brought in an all-star team, huh?
Yeah.
Mike Bubb and Stuart Duncan.
Stuart Duncan.
Yeah.
Russ Paul.
Uh-huh.
Mike Henderson. And then Miles.
Yeah.
And then, too, Charlie Cushman on banjo, which he was in there. We used he was in there for 2 days. No, it's like 2 songs for one day, and it was just like he was there and he just kicked ass, and then he was gone.
Yeah. That's how they do things in Nashville, I think.
Man. Well, that's how they all did everything. We live tracked for 2 days, and then it was like people come and go so quickly.
Yeah.
It was like a dream or something.
Were you kind of intimidated going in?
I was anxious to see how everything shook out.
Yeah.
It was certainly surreal feeling of sorts to walk in and Mike Henderson's standing there and he's getting ready to play guitar on your songs. Especially a songwriter of his caliber and everything that he's done with the Steel Drivers, and it's just like, man.
Yeah.
And I was really excited when I saw Mike walk in because I really didn't. We were both in agreement that Miles was going to be on drums, and Sturgill, as far as we talked about sound and what we wanted the songs to sound like and where we were wanting to go with it, and he was like, I think I got the dudes. And so I just left that in the hands of the Sturge, and that's what those are the guys he picked. And I was really excited when we walked in and saw that Mike Bubb was going to be playing bass because I'd ran into him a time or two before, and really admired him as a musician and really enjoyed his company. He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
A good heart.
Yeah. Did you know when you were in the studio, like, all right, this is coming together? Because you said you had recorded Purgatory, 2 times before that? And
well, it's not even that it was Purgatory. That was the first time.
Okay.
Some of the songs, like, I swear to God, I finished it maybe 3 days before we went in the studio. So it had never been recorded. I've had 3 attempts at albums, and a lot of them have had different songs. Some songs that we don't even play anymore, and it's kind of like old news. And if you take 7 years to come out with an album and record it 3 times, there's going to be some set changes along the way.
Yeah, sure.
Some songs you get tired of, and it's like maybe that wasn't quite as good as I think it was.
Yeah.
I was hoping that it would turn out to be.
Right. Tell me about your band now.
Oh, man.
They're all in the room with you, so you better say some nice shit.
Bunch of assholes. No, I'm just kidding.
How'd you get them all to join up with you?
Well,
known them for a while?
I have, yeah. Actually, my first gig at a bar in Huntington, the Shoops opening up for their rock band when I was 19.
Okay.
So they're in a rock band called Deadbeats and Barkers. It's 3-piece, just rock and bar band, man. fun times. And the first album's Local Scum. The second one, was it just called Dead Beats and Barkers, or what was it? Nothing New. Second one was called Nothing New. And yeah, so, and they can be found on
Do they still play?
no Bandcamp,
No.
Mail.
MySpace?
You can find them on MySpace. Yeah, you can find accounts of the days in the studio on Zanga. Yeah. But yeah, we did that, and so I've known them for a while, and we started out, did a couple shows together, I don't know, 22, 23, doing country covers, and then ended up playing my originals.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you, this is just me being curious, that your song Banded Clovis, that it reminds me of the Johnny Boone story a little bit. Just, he was a dude who, like, just trying to put food on the table, and that sort of desperation. Is Banded Clovis
I think that
based on a true story?
No.
Okay.
But Johnny Boone was actually, he was known in his community for being, pretty hard against, hard drugs and pills and whatnot. He was,
okay.
And so, yeah, he was just a dude that didn't think that it should be a crime to grow a plant, and so he grew a lot of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And got in trouble.
Maybe I was just looking for a segue.
There you go. But no, yeah, when we're out, we do a lot of rock hunting for like agates back home, and on a Tuesday at 12 o'clock, unless you work the night shift or you're a drunk, lead singer in a bar band, you're probably at work. And so, most of the people that we'd run into were pretty hopped up, just looking for rocks or relics to, sell for close to nothing to get their next fix. And we'd ran into some boys walking up a creek that looked like they'd been up all night.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just that image in my head on top of just arrowheads on the brain, and all that went together in the ninja bullet that is back here in the back part of my brain, and
then you
blended together.
Spit out a song. Man, it's such a good, like, old style murder ballad, Love.
I was lacking those, man. I needed a good murder ballad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about a good one, but I got a murder ballad.
It's a burner, man.
I was just fishing for compliments there. Thank you, dude.
I could tell. You reek of desperation right now. You got any good stories about your acoustic guitar?
No. Sorry.
No? Nothing? Not family heirloom or found it in a...
No.
Won it in a bet or...
Yeah. No.
Yeah, make something up real quick.
I had a Martin, and...
what do you play right now?
I got a Martin HD28. It's
okay.
2008.
All right.
So, I had a Martin that my papa had got me the Christmas before he passed away, and it ended up getting stolen. So I was looking to get another guitar to play gigs on, and 4 O'Clock Rock in Ashland had this guitar in there. Some dude was trying to sell. He'd always planned to retire, buy a Martin, and learn how to play. And then he retired, and he bought a Martin, and then he just never got around to learning how to play it, and it was sitting in a stand. He was looking to get rid of it. I had grandkids, and wanted to, I think, take them on some kind of vacation, and was looking for extra cash, and I was looking for a new guitar, and it was a good deal. And so, yeah, we've been together ever since.
All right. What do you got a lyric in there? Is that right? LR Baggs lyric?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I ran into Corey Brannon here in Lexington.
Yeah.
And he was kind enough to invite me to do a 2-day run with him in Memphis and Whitewater Tavern in Little Rock, Arkansas on New Year's Eve 3 years ago or so. And the first night, I didn't have anything in my other Martin. And I didn't have anything in this one for the longest time. And I just usually mic it. And, at that time, it really wasn't an issue. And the first night we were out, it was just a lot of hassle. Corey's done a lot of shows for a long time, and especially in Memphis. That was where it was his teeth cutting town, if I have that right.
Yeah.
And so when we showed up, there were a shit ton of people, and they were ready for some Corey Brannon, and it was pretty rowdy. And
he's pretty rowdy, yeah.
It was just the mic situation wasn't working out, and afterwards he kind of took me to the side and was like, "Man, your setup's kind of awful, non-existent. You really ought to do better." It really is what he's getting at, and was talking about the get up that he had, and he was talking about the lyric. And the next night in Little Rock, he let me use his guitar, and it was a night and day. It was like, oh, okay,
cool.
And so I went and got one of my own.
Yeah, awesome. You got any good jokes? Just do you keep any stored away for a time when it's time to tell a joke?
I've got jokes. Guy sitting in his living room watching TV, and he hears a knock on the door. So he walks to the door, and he doesn't see anybody. He looks left and he looks right, and he looks down the drive to see if anybody's driving away, and doesn't see anything. He looks down on his doormat and sees a little snail. So he picks the snail up and he chucks it out in the yard. Goes back inside and is watching TV. 2 years later, he hears a knock at the door, and so he goes. He's looking and doesn't see anybody. He looks left and he looks right and he looks down the drive to see if anybody's driving away, and doesn't see anybody. And he looks down, there's a snail on his doormat, and the snail looks up and says, "Hey man, what the hell was that all about?"
Yeah.
I said I had jokes. I said they were good. Thank you for laughing, though.
Give me I love jokes, man. Give me some of your Deserted Island albums or songs.
If I was on a deserted island.
Yeah. And you had just a couple songs or albums.
Well, just a couple?
Yep.
That's all I get.
Yeah. Hey, you're lucky to have those.
Yeah, man.
Beggars can't be choosers, right?
Well, I would definitely have Prison Book Club's, not their first one. The first one, depending on how many I get, I would take it. But the self-titled Prison Book Club is a badass album.
I've never heard of this.
It's great. John R. Miller, the lead singer, is out on the road right now playing bass with William Matheny in Strange Constellations. But he opened up the gig last night solo. But he used to be in a band called Prison Book Club, and he wrote a lot of really, really great songs. That
where are they from?
They're the band was from Shepherdstown, West Virginia.
Okay.
And starting out doing a lot of gigs over in Huntington at the V Club. I was lucky to get to open up for them a time or two, and they're really good buddies.
Okay.
And so I'd want that one.
Uh-huh.
I'd want Night Train's Cold Beer and Fried Bologna. It's got a Martin County. No, Martin County Swinger. Yeah. Martin County Swinger. Quit Your Job and Party. I would take. Wait, you said I could only have a couple. Damn it.
Give me one more.
I get one more.
Yeah, and then we're done.
And then we're done. Man, I'd take the greatest hits of Jerry Clower.
There you go.
Got to laugh to keep from crying on a desert island.
Absolutely. Is there a band that you listen to that might surprise people? For example, like I don't know, Prince, or just something like.
I really like the Dinosaur Burps.
Okay.
They're a rap duo out of Charleston. I don't listen to a lot of rap, but they rap a lot about cheeseburgers and smoking marijuana, and I can get down with that.
You can
I
relate
can get behind
to
those lyrics.
The Dinosaur Burps.
The Dinosaur Burps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can people find these Deserted Island albums and
online? The
and...
Prison Book Club album and
okay, I'm
the
just
Dinosaur
making
Burps
sure.
are on Bandcamp.
I don't want to leave the listeners hanging.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Go to Bandcamp and the Night Train is not. I just got a CD. It's all by mail. Night Train is.
Yeah.
You can holler at a laid back country picker on Facebook,
okay.
and if I got to take one more on my desert island,
sure, we'll give you one
I would take that. But he used to be the guitar player for Night Train. So if there's any to be had, he'd be the guy to talk to.
Yeah. Last question: is there a movie or a TV show that you've been thinking about lately? Doesn't even have to be the last thing you saw. Just like been into anything lately and people should know about.
I haven't really watched a lot of TV.
Yeah.
I went the other day. We played. It was a couple weeks ago. We played Bristol Rhythm and Roots, and they put us up in this hotel that was beside a Logan's and a movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up going to Logan's and getting some potato skins, and then going to the movies by myself, drunk. And that's a really sad way to go to the movies, drunk and by yourself.
I've done it.
Yeah. We all. It's a good.
Yeah. It's a rite of passage.
Yeah, character builder. I watched Mother, and.
Oh yeah.
God bless.
Horror movie kind of.
A lot of things happening in there.
Okay. Mother.
Yep.
Drunk. Belly full of potato skins.
Belly full of potato skins.
Man, that's going to do it. Tyler,
thanks
so much.
Yeah, it's been
really
a pleasure.
appreciate it, bud.
That's about the time
Won't you sing them hymns while the banjo plays? You can tell them ladies that they ought not frown, 'cause there ain't been nothing ever held me down. All men, women, or shallow graves, same old blues, just a different day. Get me drinking that moonshine, get me higher than the grocery bill. Take my troubles to the high wall, throw them in the river and get your fill. We've been sniffing that cocaine, ain't nothing better when the wind cuts cold. Lord, it's a mighty hard living, but a damn good feeling to run these roads.
All right, that was Tyler Childers performing White House Road. That version was recorded live exclusively for the LR Bag's 2017 Americana video sessions. To find out more about Tyler, be sure to check out tylerchildersmusic.com. I'd like to thank Tyler, Sonora, Ian, Rod, James, Craig, and Jesse for the enormous amount of hospitality and warmth you showed to me and my wife. You're all amazingly kind and beautiful people. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time on Maker's Mic.